Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Put your hands together for Jamel Randall.
September 6, 2010, I was left to make the toughest decision of my life. The doctors came into the emergency room and asked me if I wanted to take or leave my mom on life support. I could still hear the chirps and the beeps of the monitors, the doors opening and closing. I can feel the coldness in my fingertips, even still to this day. I'm looking at my rock, my support system lay lifeless on a bed. Just 9 months before, 9 short months before, she had my back when my dad was going through the exact same process. I found myself questioning for the first time in my life, why God? Why me? I'm only 23 years old. Why would I have to go through something like this? See, when my dad passed, not to say that it made sense, but it kind of made sense. My mom, though, it happened just like that. See, my dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer when I was about 14 for the first time. He had his prostate removed. If you know anything about the prostate, that's where you get your erections. To take that away from a man is like, exactly, you know, right? It'll take you there. Well, I witnessed that at 14 years old, and that process weighed heavy on me because I helped him every step of the way. At 19 years old, the cancer came back, and this time it was in his bones. The doctor, I remember being at the doctor's office with him, and they told him, there's nothing we can do about this one. You can't remove the bones. The most we can do is treat it with chemotherapy. My dad didn't seem to give a damn. He was kind of like, well, let's start the chemo. So for 2 years straight, every Tuesday, for 8 hours, I sat with him at the Carmanos Institute for 8 hours of slow drip. I didn't question God then, because it kind of made sense how cancer was bringing me closer to my dad. I had the opportunity for 8 hours out the day to hear him tell story after story, things that he never unfolded to me. For whatever reason, I don't know. The nurses even looked forward to seeing my dad come in because he was the master masker of his feelings, of his emotions. Jokes was his way of covering up. He would come in and he'd say, Mr. Randall, what kind of joke you got for us today? One, I feel like, I always think he went too far on this one, but he said, all right, so what do you call a blind gynecologist? Blind gynecologist. I put my head down. Here we go. Oh, well, that's a lip reader right there. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. The nurse is like, okay, Mr. Randall, calm down. But that was his way. That was his way of doing things. He just didn't seem to care. The doctor would come in and she could smell it, she could see it. She'd say, Mr. Randall, are you still smoking cigarettes? He'd say, well, yeah, what's gonna happen? I already got cancer. And he was right. He was enjoying himself for whatever in his way. It wasn't until I saw the day where she told him they were ending the chemotherapy, something that we dreaded going to because I saw how the chemo was tearing him up physically. He would come in with jokes, but he would go home and pretty much crash and complain for the whole day. So one day she came in and she looked at him and she told him, Mr. Randall, the chemotherapy is not adding to the quantity of your life, so we may as well add to the quality. So I'm taking you off of chemo. His pause, his damn, was the first time I saw fear in my dad's eyes. But once again, I was able to witness his entire process. He passed 2 weeks after that. Went from 2 years The chemo gave him hope. 2 weeks after taking him off, that slow ride down was just like that. Hospice, what did they call it? Liquid morphine. Liquid morphine. That process, he regurgitated word after word, stuff that happened in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. My dad was 43 when I was born, so he was already a little older. But the words that he was saying, it was just coming back to life, and I can see it, I can visualize it. So now, when we fast forward 9 months ahead, and I'm sitting here looking at my mom, who was just working a month before, just at a concert with me 2 months before. 3 weeks before that, she's showing me new floors that she want to put on in her house. That's not somebody that's ready to die. That's not somebody that knows they're going to die. But even still, she asked me to take her to the doctor for the first time, and at that doctor's appointment, the doctor came in and she said, "Did you start radiation yet?" I said, "Radiation for what?" She said, "Well, the breast cancer that you had years ago, that I knew nothing about, is in your stomach now." I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, you got to go to the ER right now." So they sent her right into the hospital, Beaumont Hospital, where they started radiation. Every day they called with a new organ failing. We want to put a stent in her kidneys. We want to put a stent in her heart. Can't remember if it was a stent in the lung, it was a stent somewhere else, but it was like every day it was another axe. The 7th day I went in and I sat with her, and her voice was so soft, so weak. She told me her bank account number, because my mom always, she on it, get the money out the bank. And then the next thing she told me was, "I just don't want Dee Dee to end up in the home." Dee Dee was my sister, 11 months younger than me, Irish twins. Yeah, Dee Dee was everybody's. Yeah. It was the all right that got me. No, but Dee Dee was everybody's favorite. I had 3 sisters, but Dee Dee was different in everybody else's eyes, but not to us. She had a severe case of cerebral palsy. Just to give you an idea, she couldn't walk, talk, or eventually eat on her own. So she depended on my mom for everything. But like I said, we treated her like she was one of us. So when we going out, Dee Dee was rolling with us. Going to church, Dee Dee in the back screaming with the choir. That was just her thing. When we have our dance competitions, we used to turn the box on the TV and we would have sing-offs. We had a song for Dee Dee, Master P. So Master P come on, make them say, You turn the radio down. Eventually Dee Dee would go, Yes. That was our little thing. We weren't never but like 8 years old, but we knew that, hey, Dee Dee got to be in there. We put sour babies in her mouth and watch her face. It was a good time. It was like a connection. Well, as my mom sat there and made that confess that she just didn't want Dee Dee to end up in a home, I took that as if, that's her sign. She's telling me she's ready to go. But she's holding on. She's holding on. So I told her at that point then, you never have to worry about Dee Dee entering a home, ever. Never. So I made the tough decision. 3 days after that, as she lied there on the bed, I cried with my head in her chest, knowing that this was the last time I would feel the warmth of her body. I asked the nurse, will it hurt? I said, not any more pain than what she's experiencing now. So I watched. They cleaned her mouth. Then the nurse said, did you want to stay and stay, or did you want to leave? I said, nah, I'm good on this one. I can see nightmares coming from this, so I'm gonna get out of here. So I took about 3 steps, and then I stopped. I said, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna sit with my mama. Yeah, so I watched every inhale until she took the last one. Her last exhale was the deepest inhale I ever took. Screamed like a baby. And then it was over. Man, it was fast as hell. It was the craziest thing. The nurse closed her eyes and she said, you can go home now. So shit, I just went home. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, Labor Day. I drove and it was dark as hell. It was a dark road. I missed the street. I never missed the street. I grew up on this house. I lived in the house that my dad bought. So I knew where I was going, but I didn't. So I was just driving. And so that ride ended up being symbolic of what the rest of my life would be like for the next few years. I stuck to my word. I went downtown to probate court and got custody of my sister. I was 23 years old. She was 23 as well. Y'all know how the city of Detroit is. They gave me a hard time. They're like, you sure your sisters don't want to take your sister? I'm taking my sister. All right, so yeah, I took custody of her, and it was good to have her in the house, but it was a challenge. It was a sign of everything that, damn, my mama was doing a lot. Yeah, do her hair. I didn't know what was going on with her hair. Brushing her teeth. How do you keep her mouth open? She closes her mouth and she got a strong neck. Giving her a bath. She was only 80 pounds, but I would reach over and her muscles were so contracted, so she didn't latch on. So you're talking about just carrying her body dead weight, yeah, and I didn't have any type of idea of no fancy tub to put her in, so I'm picking her up and leaning over, and I'm just like, man, this is killing me. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, this is something that my mom didn't have to deal with. As she got older, her muscles got tighter. She started having ulcers in her stomach. She would scream to the top of her lungs at 4 o'clock in the morning. I knew the difference between the screams, though. Remember the Master P? That was her way of playing. So, I can hear that in my sleep, but it wouldn't wake me up. But when she started to, that's when I would jump up. Go up there, reposition her. She go back. She go back to sleep for a second and scream again. It was starting to weigh on me. I remember breaking down one day, saying, "This shit, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Mama's supposed to be here doing this." I started to feel guilt, I guess you say guilt. So I started looking for outlets to get this stress off of me. And that outlet ended up being the gym. So I would try to outrun my sorrows mile by mile. I would try to outlift the rage. So I'm lifting weights, tossing it up day by day. Until one day I'm deadlifting, and I feel a pop in my back. And I'm like, shit. It was fire coming from my mid-back all the way down my legs. I hit my knees and I crawled out of that gym to every doctor, massage therapist, chiropractor I could find. They gave me limited relief, right? You know, the muscle relaxers, the snap, and, I would still have those spasms going on. Well, eventually a friend of mine said, "Have you ever tried yoga?" Yes. I said, well, I'm not in any position to be fighting anybody, so I try anything. What's the yoga gonna do? It's gonna make you feel better. So I went in not knowing what I was getting into, though. Came in with some hoop shorts on, with a t-shirt and some gym shoes, like we about to get a good stretch in, right? Well, she invited me to hell to do yoga. It was one of those Bikram yoga studios. So if you know anything about those, it's 106 degrees in there. And she just told me to come, and yeah. Even before I got in there, I knew I was in trouble because the lady, she said, "You're not going to need that shirt." I ain't gonna need my shirt. Yeah, and here's water, and here's a towel. Like, what are we doing? I just went for it, and boy, when I tell you, I saw stars 3 times in that class. But the lady, she kept insisting, do not leave the room, just lay down. I'm like, it's not the movement, it's the heat, baby, it's the heat. So I'm looking at the door, but she wouldn't let me leave. Eventually, after that 90-minute hell session, I got up, I drugged myself out, I had tears and sweat laying on this mat. I got outside and they gave me a banana because I think they knew I needed it. I realized my back wasn't feeling bad at all. Damn, I'm healed. So I was done with yoga. It don't work like that though. So literally 6 days later, I was back to, So I ran back to yoga. So I went again and I told her, I just don't like how hot it is in there. And so she said, well, Jamel, you know it's different styles of yoga you can do. Oh, it is? Oh, that's what you should have said. So I went on the research journey on Google, of course. So I hopped on and I looked up yoga basics, yoga fundamentals, yoga for dummies, yoga, whatever, anything. What kept popping up is yoga teacher training. I want to be a yoga teacher. I just got in this 2 weeks ago. And so after about 20, 30 minutes, I kept looking, and eventually I just said, well, maybe I can just apply, and as I apply, I don't have to teach. They can't make me teach. I just take the knowledge and stuff and go with it. I don't even need a certificate. So I applied. And kid you not, 30 minutes later, my phone rang. Hello? Hi, is this Jamel? Oh, yeah, it is. I just got your application for yoga teacher training. Would you be able to come in for an interview tomorrow at 6 a.m.? 6 a.m.? That was my first sign I was getting into something weird. But I'm a little weird myself, so I said, yeah, I can come. Okay, well, write a bio, and we'll see you at 6 a.m. The yoga studio I was going to was in Birmingham, the Center for Yoga. So I'm like, all right, I ain't never been out to Birmingham, honestly. I ain't had no reason. I'm from Detroit, Radford High School, all right. But it's in Birmingham, what I'm gonna do? I gotta go. So I went. Ever since my parents passed, I had this weird connection with the moon. Full moons, I feel like I can see them. I don't know anything symbolic. I'm not that guy. I don't do the zodiac. I don't do any of that stuff. I just feel. I'm a feeler. But I could feel that connection. It was a full moon that day. I walked up, and I knew they were right there, and I knew I was in the right place. So I walked in, and it's probably as dark as it is right now in here. Hello? Nobody there. I look again. Hello? I'm here for the interview. And nobody came out. I'm in Birmingham. I'm not, black guy. I'm not doing too much searching back here. I don't want no smoke. So I'm like, all right. Before I know it, a head popped out. Beautiful white lady comes out. Are you Jamel? Yeah. Come. Okay. She take me to an even darker room. All right. 3 cushions. Empty cushion, small white guy. And he's got his eyes closed. So I'm like, okay. And so they motion me to sit in a cushion. All right. She sits in another one. Nobody says nothing. He had his eyes closed, so I just closed my eyes. We sat there. It felt like 20 minutes. Probably was only 2 minutes, but it felt long as hell. I opened my eye. They still were sitting there. Oh, shit, this is a test. So I sat there. And so then he goes and he says, read your bio. Oh. So I pull a bio out. I save you the whole bio story, but basically I told them I was a tree hugger. I chased butterflies in my free time. I helped the old lady across the street, and I've been doing yoga for 15 years now. He smiled and said, okay. Sounds like good. After that, he said, well, it's more to the interview. We have a couple things that we ask you to give up when you enter yoga teacher training. He said, one is no negative chatter. So only speak positivity. Can you do that? Yes, I can do that. No stealing, no killing. I ain't killing nobody, so you're good on that. That means no animal products. You can't eat any meat. Ah, shit. Okay, no, I'm down for that. That's cool. No drugs or alcohol. I don't do drugs. I love some Hennessy, though. But 3 months, I can handle it. Are you married, Jamel? No, I'm not married. No sex. Damn. I'm 23 years old. I just started having sex. Man, so I smiled and said, okay. So his reason, his why is that, Jamel, we want the most purest and natural you to come to surface. All those other things are cravings that we run to and we lean on to make us feel better. I want to see the pure you for this 3 months. That's some deep shit. Okay, you got me, bro. I'm into this. He said, you accept it. So I got in. I was in yoga teacher training. 2 weeks into the yoga teacher training, it was about 50 people. He's a very popular yoga teacher. So he had 50 people in his yoga teacher training. I'm the only guy, of course. Only black person, of course. It was cool for the most part, didn't bother me, but they had this anatomy lesson that they wanted to give, and they wanted to show the difference between a man and a woman. There's only one man in the room, so they called me up and they say, Jamel, go into downward dog. Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me what kind of dog it is. Downward dog, Jamel. All right, Johnny, so listen here. I was lying about the 15 years of yoga. I only been doing yoga for like 2 weeks. He looked at me and he smiled. He said, Jamel, we smelt your bullshit weeks ago. Oh, well, you could have said that. I could stop acting then. Later on that evening, he had his assistant send me an email. And I'll never forget this email to the day I die. It said, Johnny believes that you can be a beacon, a vessel, I should say, to a community that he can't reach. He doesn't want you to worry about any more payments. He just wants you to focus on this practice and share it with your community. What? White man from Birmingham that doesn't know me for nothing. I didn't have nothing to offer him. And he did this. So I took it very serious. I started practicing meditation with him. I going to his Follow the Yogi, 5:30 in the morning every day. Yoga every day. I digested it completely. I was involved in this whole process. Until they invited us to this lake, this private lake. And I knew it had something to do with water. I'm not getting in no yoga, in the water doing yoga, so it was March, it was cold. I had my mind set on this. Didn't know what we was going to this lake for. What it was a sweat lodge, is what they call it, where you do fire breath. You practice vulnerability. And then after, you jump in the lake. Yep, I'm doing it. That's what my mind was made up on. I'll do the breath, though. I'll do that part, but just not jumping in the lake. Well, they had us pair up in threes. And we all had to be back to back to one another. And they had African drummers. And we had to start this fire breath for 1 hour to 2 hours, nonstop. That's fire breath. Non-stop, yes. It actually calms you if you're ever in any type of anxiety or any type of moments like that. Brings you down immediately. But I took that same mindset that I took in the gym when I hurt my back. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna stop breathing for that whole 2 hours. I had my poker face ready. Going. As we're going through this, they got the African drummers going. So it's doom 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 doom. And he's like, peel through the layers, stop holding back, let go, let go. And I'm good. And I'm going, we're going. But then I can start to feel the girl behind me on my back. She's quivering. And she's crying. So I'm like, fuck it, that. I keep it going. And before I know it, the third girl that was on my left, she stopped breathing and went to hug her. And I'm, why the fuck didn't you give her a hug? And so I started going back in my head. Why didn't you give that girl a hug? Ever since I watched my mom take that last breath, I didn't want anybody to love me. I didn't want anybody to do anything for me. I want my mama to do it. I'm holding back because I only wanted the love for one person. I had closed my heart by watching that last breath. That vision that came back. Peel through the fucking layers. Doom, doom, doom. Oh, fuck, got snot running out my nose and all this kind of stuff. And before I know it, the two girls is hugging me. Oh, let me get, I run to go get some tissue because I knew it was a bathroom over there. And they come chase, Jamel, are you okay? Yes, I just got to blow my nose. I'm good. I kept going. And I came back after blowing my nose, and I cried even more. And I started crying so much that I started laughing. It started to liberate me like, fuck. It was starting to make sense. Let go, let go, let go. What are you holding on for? The more you hold on, the less you can receive. The less you can receive. That day we had a vulnerability lecture right afterwards. And he asked people to share. What did you experience? So I took them through that whole process. That whole process, that vision that I had in my head where I was holding on. I wasn't letting anybody in because I only wanted one person. I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. I was running away from my sorrows, my pains, and I was causing even more pain by doing so. Well, I took that to heart and I started sharing all the time. Standing here on this stage right now is part of the being found, right? The dark path, the being found is being lost, being okay with being lost. This helped me along the way as my sister Dee Dee got weaker and iller. I witnessed my mom die day by day. I witnessed my dad die day by day. I knew death was coming. I saw it. I wasn't afraid of it. I saw it. I knew her time was coming. I started to understand how to wake up in the middle of the night when she was screaming. I knew how to get up and have one eye open, not to break my sleep, flip her over, lay on her, my hand on her back so she can feel touch. This just came to me. I don't know nothing. I don't research this stuff. It's intuitive. Damn, she need touch. So I laid on her. She goes back to sleep. I make my way back into bed. I'm a pro. My wife can tell you I can go to sleep and wake up in a second now. It's a skill. I cut her hair so I didn't have to worry about doing hair anymore. I got these gloves, whatever you call those clear gloves. they're really dry. So when you get the lip can't move. So I learned how to brush her teeth. I learned all this stuff, but eventually the inevitable happened. She passed away. But 9 years is good because they didn't expect that. The doctor told us, well, honestly, Mr. Randall, you did a really good job. She was only supposed to live to 21. She got to 31. So I was able to watch her process, my dad's process, and my mom's process. And for most, you would look and say, man, that must be traumatic to watch 3 people die slowly and watch them all take their last breath. And it's not traumatic at all. Honestly, that was the greatest gift that I could ever receive. It was the gift of seeing life unfold. So for now, until the day I die, I don't take anything, any moment, any conversation, any interaction for granted. I finished my yoga teacher training, and I took 3 more yoga teacher trainings after that. I'm an addict, yeah. I started teaching yoga. I opened up a small space, and it slowly grew to a larger space. I opened up a space downtown Detroit. I started holding events. I started leading yoga teacher trainings. I started sharing my story in front of any audience, any person that would hear it as part of my healing journey. I recently finally put words to what I have been doing for the last 12 years of my life. And those things are trusting that today is for me and never against me. Revealing my story, sharing it, not holding it back. No matter who it is or how painful it is, I reveal it. I accept how I feel, so if it's time for me to cry, I cry. I don't mind crying. I'm not sad, I just had to cry. I enjoy happiness, I enjoy anger, I enjoy it all because it's natural fluctuations of life. I accept that. But I also set an aim because I understand that acceptance should never be confused with complacency. I'm not complacent. I always want more. We should all want more because that gives us purpose, reason for getting up every day. Then the last thing that I decided to do in my life is to treat it as a practice instead of perfection. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be right. You don't have to make sense of anything that you're feeling. I had to learn this. I don't have to know why. I don't have to question God. I don't have to question why cancer comes. I don't have to question why my sister is disabled. I don't have to question why I'm not hugging this woman because I know now. Because I freed myself. I freed myself by practicing that. I call that my trap method. Trap method. Trust, reveal, accept, and practice over perfection. In the midst of me doing that, I was able to have a beautiful daughter. I was able to get married. Before that, I was not even close. I opened myself up to the world, and the world rewarded me. That's all I can ask for. Hopefully you can do the same. Thank you.
Jamel Randall.